This is a huge title engine here that you introduced, 6117, relating to aerospace competitiveness.
Yes.
What might that eventually hold?
Well, the governor and House leadership and Senate leadership have been meeting and talking with representatives of Boeing Company, the aerospace industry, the labor organizations involved in aerospace, and we are wanting to put the best case forward to have the second line of the 787 be located in Washington. And the title only is in case we get some information on something we could do to improve the situation for Washington State in that.
What's on the table?
Bid.
UI, workers' comp, the gag bill, things like that?
Well, we're already working clearly on the unemployment insurance tax side. That bill should come out of the Senate soon. That's the so-called conformity piece. It results in tax decreases for business over the next few years. And we're in a fortunate position of having a large unemployment insurance trust fund so that we have been able to both increase unemployment insurance benefits and expand training opportunities for unemployed workers, and we'll be able to do this conformity piece and provide some tax relief on the business side, and we'll still have a very solvent fund, even if we go through even if the recession is, as serious as it might end up being.
But that sounds like it's outside of this bill, so what type
Well, that's
of
one of the issues that we've been talking with them on, but there may be others. I understand there are also discussions going on we've had discussions with our congressional delegation, and we're trying to clarify what is the process for making the decision on the 787, what's the timeline, how can Washington participate as proactively as possible in that process.
Boeing making noises that they might take it out of state?
I haven't heard that. I've heard that the decision is somewhat dependent on the economy in terms of when and how much of a second line is launched. And at that point, obviously they have facilities in multiple states, so we know it's not a decision. If the decision's been made, we don't know what it is, and we think there hasn't been a decision made. So the idea is to make sure that we are ready. And my understanding is that the governor's office is working with having an analysis performed that will sort of objectively indicate where we stand in some of these competitiveness indicators vis-a-vis other states. I think we're going to look good in that analysis, but if we see a problem that needs to be addressed, we want to be ready to address it.
When's that due?
Mid-April, I believe.
Does Boeing still pay some taxes in Washington? I mean, is there something left to
the aerospace industry still pays a lot of taxes.
I just want to check. Are those being looked
employment
at?
taxes.
No, not the employment taxes. Let's
taxes.
set those on unemployment insurance fund side. They pay other taxes. Are they being looked at?
We don't have specific proposals yet, but we've just indicated a willingness to hear what the relevant factors are.
Does that have a bearing on the Privacy Act or the worker privacy, or also known as gag rule, the way you look at that?
I think it's clear that the business community is united in opposition to that bill, and that organized labor is united in support of it. So we're still working our way through that.
Who was meeting in your caucus room today? It looked like some labor folks.
I don't know, it wasn't on my behalf. So probably some senator invited some people in.
You, at the Homesick for Spokane thing recently, in terms of the budget, you sort of laid out a framework. Excuse me, start out with 8.3 or 8.5 deficit, and then sort of walk through, federal stimulus, et cetera. Can you do that again?
I can, although I would say that these are the numbers that the Senate and the House are trying to make sure we're on the same page on. So take them as kind of my numbers, and we're working together to understand if we are on the same framework.
Okay.
But 8.5 shortfall, $2.5 to $3 billion of federal stimulus. Then you've got maybe, I think it's pretty clear, without pay raises or vendor increases, be about another $1 billion in reductions. The issue of pensions is a question mark. The governor reduced contributions by about $500 million. It's not clear that the legislature is going to go that direction. We want to leave more in the rainy day fund and more as a contingency in case the economy continues to contract and the ending fund balance. So once you put all that together, you still have a pretty major, sizable gap. We estimate that to be about the size of the cuts made by the governor plus 50%.
In terms of the rainy day fund and ending fund balance, about $1 billion there?
We don't have a number yet, but again, I think it should be more than where the governor was at, given that we now know that the economy has not bottomed out yet, and there's not a clear case to be made about when that's going to happen. I mean, I hope it's in the summer and the fall, but we just don't know that yet.
Thank you.
The unions and other folks who are interested in a tax referendum have been doing some talking with people in the public, focus groups. I understand that polling they may have done was maybe due back this week. What have they communicated with you, if anything, about what their research has shown?
I haven't met with them. I know that process is happening, but I haven't met with them yet to hear about any of the results.
Okay. Is there somebody else in the caucus who's more in regular contact with them?
Not that I know of.
What do you think of that ad on the asbestos bill that appeared in some newspapers?
That's the one that Brian Weinstein said he was not lobbying for.
That bill's moving right along. It's your rules too, that I could tell. Why would they be running mad on that?
I don't know. You'd have to talk. I didn't know anything about that, obviously, and I'm not pleased to have ads, targeting Senate Democrats on a bill, on any bill during session when we haven't even caucused on it yet. I mean, one of the things that happens is that after you move the bill out of rules, if it comes out of rules, then we have a chance in caucus to have proponents and opponents explain where they're at with the bill and talk about potential amendments and have an opportunity to achieve consensus, or 25 votes if you can't get consensus. But that, in some ways, was short-circuited by these ads.
What's the result going to be? Is that fair play? I mean, does it damage their position in the caucus?
I would imagine you could ask Senator Haugen or Caston about that. They'd give you a pretty
So they get
straight,
Haugen up
they'd give you
there?
a pretty straight answer.
They get Haugen up and over?
I understand there was an ad against Senator Haugen in her district.
That guy looks nothing like Howard either.
Well, you're the caucus leader. You said you weren't happy. That seems to be a restrained response. Really, you're just not happy, or are you pissed off?
It's counterproductive for, in my opinion, and this happens a lot. I mean, and groups have, any interest group has the right to go to the press, buy an ad, and
Thank God.
yeah, it's probably a good thing. Probably a good thing.
Awesome work.
But no, I think that's counterproductive. I don't think it generally helps the cause of the organization. And because, as I said, the legislative process is deliberative, and you go through a process where you try to work out differences of opinion. You don't always get there, obviously, But that process gets short-circuited when it's elevated by this level of ads that sort of assume that, I guess this was a sort of inferring that Senator Haugen or Senator Castleman didn't care about victims of, you know, some kind of asbestos-related medical malady. Well, I'm sure they care. So the question is what you do about it.